Presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, yesterday mocked his counterpart in the ruling All Progressive Congress, APC, Bola Tinubu, as a clown who was only fit to contest the post of Grand Comedian of the Federal Republic. Atiku advised the APC to immediately replace Tinubu following his unceasing, helpless gaffes to avoid further embarrassment. The PDP alleged that Tinubu was only suitable for the position of comic chief and never president of Nigeria, going by his error-reading utterances, which signifies failing health. Atiku said in a statement that it was common knowledge that Tinubu goofed every time he came to the public space. The statement added that APC's 7.5 years reign was a sad reminder of Nigeria's arrested development since 2015 when he came to power. He said Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu claimed.
Hello everyone, good day according to your time. Welcome back to Learning is the Key. Hope you guys are doing well. Please, if you are seeing my channel for the first time, don't forget to subscribe and kindly hit on the notification button. As you do that, God bless you, and share this video. It is really important, and kindly follow my page. Yes guys, Orichirichi. Okay, imagine Nigeria is a country where we have, I still keep on telling you, because you people may be asking yourselves that why is she saying this all the time now? Because for some time I don't travel. For some time I don't go out of my house. Like, I don't know if you understand. Like, you know now, if you know they go some places, you know if you understand what they happen around you. So I know they take trains, so I don't know what they have when I work. So recently I witnessed waiting of equal heartbreak, waiting the break person heart. Between August till now, I can tell you that the rate of our boys that is just outside doing nothing, homeless above all, homeless above all. See them alone, we tell you all is not well. All is not well. So when Nigeria people, that they try to escape for the poverty, escape everything, some of them go find themselves finally for Europe, while the Italian people go push them out. Because do not forget that Italian people, they know they give document to 60% of the people when they pass that place. Now so then talk cannot be made talk. Now this news say Tinubu, Atiku and Tinubu, that they exchange words. I don't say they be politicians, so they must come out to play their own politics game. Where Atiku for the ask Tinubu may come prove your real identity, your real nationality, and more other things. We even say he say Tinubu not supposed to even be candidates. He's supposed to day for one place. They go pull a sheaf for a head. He go be sheaf. In way they talk, he supposed to be our president. Let's be honest now. In way they talk, now he good to be our president. Why is he fighting for that? If not be unselfish, Because let's be honest, why in they fight for that? Those people, God will help us. Like, God will help us, deliver us from there. So you that have not seen this video, just take a look. I'm going to show you this video, not because the video is new, but because you should try and listen carefully to all these things, like someone calling another person comedy, someone saying this and someone saying that. Like, we are talking about Nigeria election, the election that we say the Nigeria people. No, all this church play. God help us.
Lagos rally that Tinubu will lift Nigerians out of hardship and hunger was an indictment on the APC as an admission that indeed over 133 million Nigerians now live in abject poverty, as reported by the National Bureau of Statistics. Okay. Ayo, what's your take on this?
Right. Thank you very much and good morning. Welcome to a new week with Dr. Abat and of course everyone else. Now, interesting way to start off this week. From the comment, especially stating that the presidential candidate of the APC should be contesting instead for as a comedian. And one of the things, let's go back to why the presidential candidate of the PDP would make such a statement. Going back to some of the speeches at campaign rally grounds of the APC presidential candidate, we have seen what could be termed as a slip of tongue, an error or mistake. But a number of people have analyzed this to say there are errors or slips of tongues, one too many. On Saturday at the Lagos APC rally at the Teslim Balogun Stadium in Surulere, where there was a massive turnout as expected for the APC presidential candidate, he had mentioned that people should get their APV or APC, whereas he was meant to say PVC, to turn out en masse to vote. Earlier in Jos, he had actually referred when he was saying God bless, he was going to say God bless his party, APC, and he said PD, APC. Some of these things have been trending. At the Kaduna Investment Summit earlier in October this year, he had said the governor, who is a member of his party and one of his supporters, was turning a rotten situation to a bad one. So there are many what people would term as gaffes that the presidential candidate of the APC has made in recent times. A human being is a human being. So you're allowed to make errors, you can make mistakes, you might not be, for the sake of argument, an excellent orator or public speaker. And so when you're in front of people, you tend to make mistakes. However, unfortunately, this has brought into question the capacity of the APC presidential candidate to vie for the highest office in the land if he's unable to properly address people without making an error. Indeed, people have asked questions around other things, even beyond what he said at during speeches. And famously, the House of Reps Speaker, Honorable Gbajabiamila, had said, thrown as if challenging people who had mocked him or made him trend on social media, saying that if they're asking a lot of questions. If they ask you who is Tinubu, tell them that he's the greatest politician. If they ask you what is his age, tell them to go and ask his mother. Funny and little things like this that politicians essentially should not use to distract the main issue. So oftentimes when we find candidates throwing jabs at one another, it then becomes a distraction to the main issue. The truth is that the highest office in the land, is an important and critical one indeed. We have a country to fix. We have a nation that is not in the best state economically, health-wise, in different sectors. And so we're looking for the best man for the job. What we have said consistently and urged the candidates to do is to face the issues squarely, to address issues. Yes, you can make a comment about your candidate, but more than that, what should be making headlines this morning should be what they hope to do and the quality of the statements that they are making.
Dr. Bassey?
Okay, it's as follows. In that statement by Frank Shaibu, responding to the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, APC, on behalf of his boss, the PDP presidential candidate, well, I was shocked that Frank Shaibu has such level of toxicity within him, because he not only threw kitchen utensils at Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu of the APC. He removed the whole sink and threw in his face. Complete below the belt attack, slanderous, attacks, hate speech, use of foul language, use of indecorous language, including saying that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is looking for an automatic employment without going through an interview. He even said he has to clear issues about his name, his identity, his education, and even hinted at his connection with heroin trafficking and all that. I mean, I don't want to, restate all the details, even accusing him of dementia. Now, let's go to the basic principles. Again and again, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, are told this politicians and their surrogates that, look, hate speech, abusive language, foul language amount to a violation of the Electoral Act. And there are specific sections there, sections 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, saying that, in fact, there could be penalties for this use of intemperate language. The PDP may hide under the cover that okay, they are responding to Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu saying that former Vice President Atiku Abubakar is over-ambitious and ungrateful. And hence they've come at him with the kitchen sink and everything else inside the kitchen, including knives, and threw everything at him. But you see, we have to go to the basic principle that this business or campaign must be conducted in a civil manner, in a decorous manner, without, the politicians abusing each other. Nigerians are not interested in abuse. Nigerians are interested in how they want to solve the problem that Nigerians face going forward. The PDP spokesperson, speaking on behalf of his boss, says, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu does not want to come for a debate, and that they are inviting him to a full television interview. Okay, that may be excused, but all the other argumentum ad hominem in that statement, I think it's simply overboard. The second point is that this proves the point that some people have made, that perhaps the surrogates of the presidential candidates, their spokespersons, should also be made to sign peace accord, because violence takes many forms. Sometimes some people can have diarrhea of the mouth that can cause violence, and which was why the INEC chairman was saying the Constitution, the Public Order Act, the Police Act, and also specific sections of the Electoral Act 2022 do not allow for the use of foul language that can cause public disorder. And unless INEC and the relevant agencies begin to apply sanctions under the law, I hope this kind of situation will not completely degenerate. The Tinubu camp has not yet responded to this attack, but I don't know what they are going to throw. Maybe they too will enter the kitchen and look for whatever weapons are still available and throw back. But that's not what Nigerians want. That's not what the guidelines and the relevant laws recommend. So maybe these surrogates will also have to sign a peace accord. The third point. The presidential candidate of the PDP was saying that, perhaps Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu should be given the honor of the Grand Comedian of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Well, the only man I know who bears that title, GCFR, is Gbenga Adeyinka the First, the popular comedian, who introduces himself as Gbenga Adeyinka the First, GCFR. But maybe there is still space for that. But you see, as a political attack, I think it's a bit off color. And we hope that, language, the place of language in political campaign will be something that, both the political leaders and their surrogates will pay specific attention to. It may provide entertainment, but it takes attention away from the major issues that concern us as a people. It takes attention away from the priorities that Nigerians have defined and that we continue to emphasize and underline on this program, namely issues about the economy, issues about infrastructure, issues about the future of Nigeria.
I think when people show you, they have believed them. And this is a representation of our political class. And these are people that want to run Nigeria, a country that is currently on its knees as we speak, a country that is suffering, that is choking, that is reeling from unemployment, poverty, but a country that has so much potential to do well because these same leaders disrupted that potential and ruined the prospect of the country. It is a sad reminder of the kind of political class we have. I condemn in totality the PDP campaign saying that the APC presidential candidate is a comedian. That's not the kind of rhetorics we want. If you want to disagree with candidate, disagree with them on the policies, on their issues. I would have thought that the PDP will write an op-ed about what they don't like about the APC manifesto. That'll be issue-based. But also I condemn in totality what the presidential candidate of the APC has constantly done, abusing his political adversaries. Words like they will labor in vain. Words like don't even mention that party. Words like tear umbrella. Words like that are not good. So now I'm condemning both parties. And I also condemn any party that will come and rain abuses in. As for gaffes, yes, the APC presidential candidate has made a lot of gaffes. Gaffes are a dime a dozen now. Almost every outing, there's a gaffe. But what is most important for me is that we need to have a process that is transparent. And that's why I'll say, going forward in our electoral process, presidential candidates must be able to submit to us medical reports. They must also be able to submit to us their tax returns. Because you see, if you want to get into a university in Nigeria, you will do medicals. And your medicals go to the university authorities. If you want to get a job, you do medicals. Why is it that for the top job, they cannot show us medical reports, and they cannot show us tax returns, and they cannot, be very honest and open with us as regards everything? So that's the way forward, to be able to settle all of this so that we can interrogate the candidates better. But please, I want the candidates to stay on the issues because this country is bleeding. And I'm very sad at the way the campaigns are going for 2023. I must express my sadness. All we hear every day, abuses, abuses, abuses. Enough of all of this. Can we talk about the issues? Can we just talk about the issues of the campaign ground and stop all these abuses? You guys don't even know children are watching? Don't you even know children, 6-year-old, 10-year-olds are watching? Is that the kind of morals you want to impact in the children? We need to do better. Isn't the suffering and the chaos going on in this country enough for you to only tackle the issues? Enough of all of this. And the surrogates that write all sorts of message. Surrogates are direct representative of the people that they surrogate for. Except we have the candidates come out and say, no, I'm not going to abuse the person. Even if I'm going to have disagreements with him, I'm going to have disagreements with him based on policies. And in case you don't know presidential candidates, please go watch the video of John McCain in 2008 when some supporters of John McCain were abusing Barack Obama and said he was an Arab, he was this, he was that. And John McCain picked up the microphone from them and said, no, he's not Arab. He loves America just like I do. We just have differences on policy and the way to run America. He's a good family man that loves this country. I think candidates should emulate the late American Senator John McCain, things like this. Let's keep it clean. Let's keep it issue-based. And all of us, all the presidential candidates have erred as regards abuses. The APC, the PDP, other political parties. It is time to stop it and keep it clean and think of the nation. Nigeria first. Moving on to the next story. The federal government on Sunday announced the extension of resumption of Abuja-Kaduna train services for another few days. Muazu Sambo, the Minister of Transportation, made the announcement during an inspection tour of Abuja to Kaduna train stations, stressing the extension was to ensure proper security measures were put in place. The suspended train services on the Abuja line were meant to resume on Monday, November 22nd, after 8 months of suspending the operations following a terrorist attack on the rail line. Sambo said Nigerians have to provide national identification numbers before registering to board the train or when they buy through the counter.
A number of measures have been put in place in order to ensure that life and property will be secured when we resume services. And I'm satisfied with what I have seen. Of course, there are 1 or 2, 3 areas that need to be addressed, and we're going to address them immediately. And we have not said the train services will start tomorrow. I want to be very categorical about that. Now, we have introduced a new system before you buy a ticket. Your purchase of a ticket requires you to provide a phone number and a national identification number in order to profile, because that is the beginning of the security checks. So at any point in time when a train moves from one station to another, we know who and who are on board. If you don't have an NIN, you are not going to board our train. It's as simple as that. If you are a minor, an adult will pay for you, will register for you. And an adult can only register for not more than 4 minors. Now, we want to give sufficient time for the Nigerian public to listen to this, to assimilate this new system. So if you start tomorrow, a lot of people will be disgruntled. Why didn't they tell us that this is the new way of doing it? Why didn't they give us adequate time to do it? So we want to give you adequate time. Definitely between 3, 4, 5 days, certainly not more than a week. Whatever is humanly possible to put to secure the lives of the users of this service have been put in place. And we will continue to upgrade it. We'll be monitoring it on a daily basis and improve on wherever we find some snags.
A lot to chat about here.
Yes, there are many things to talk about. Well, kudos, thank you to the Minister of Transport, Muazu Sambo, for breaking that down. Indeed, we were looking forward to the reopening of the Kaduna Abuja rail line, especially since it's been closed since the 29th of March, a day after the very unfortunate disaster on the 28th of March when there was a terrorist attack on a Kaduna-bound train from Abuja. A number of lives lost, as well as some people kidnapped. Unfortunately, due to perhaps what he's trying to correct now, there are various reports of the numbers, especially in terms of deaths and also those who were kidnapped. Famously, they said they wouldn't open that route until all those who were in captivity were released. Now, talking to the issues around the new requirement for the opening, first of all, let me say that it is important that when there's an update in the way that a schedule is operated, it is important to give users and the people an opportunity to have enough time to assimilate the information and not, as he has mentioned, be disgruntled when they get to the place of purchase and they find out that things have changed. In many instances, unfortunately, this isn't always the case, whereby things are changed and we have little or no time to make adjustments, and people are rushing there, and then we have people are coming out and complaining bitterly. And so what has necessitated the move of the opening of the rail line from today to, as is mentioned, 3 to 5 days is important. However, I hope that they will take the time to actually do what they said they want to do, which is to have a massive campaign around this, especially around the safety and security of commuters using that rail line. Then moving on to the new guidelines following the reopening of rail lines, which is that you must have your NIN, you must put your phone number. Now, this is up for debate as to how effective it would be in curbing or curtailing an incident that happened on the 28th of March earlier this year, which is a terrorist attack. Unfortunately, when it comes to security and terrorism in Nigeria, it's a bigger issue beyond just providing an NIN or identification before you board a train. We have to ensure that we have security on the lines. We have to ensure that the bigger issues, because you cannot deal with terrorism in isolation. It's not just a rail line problem. We have a big problem in the Northeast that hasn't been decidedly dealt with. If this isn't handled, even if they take the NIN, phone number, birth certificate and everything, we're still going to have these issues. And these are the bigger questions for the Minister of Transport and the security operatives to respond to and to give an answer to.
All right, Dr. Bati.
Okay. On March 28th, we had that incident in which 8 persons were killed, 25 were injured, over 60 were abducted by terrorists who had laid explosives along the track of the Abuja Kaduna rail line, and then all of that incident. Now, the Minister of Transportation, Muazu Sambo, was beating his chest and saying, he deserves to be congratulated because he had promised that the rail line would not resume services until all the captives had been released by the abductors. Well, he needs to be reminded that he's lying. Because the truth of the matter was that the Nigerian Railway Corporation had actually attempted to resume rail line operations along that route on May 23.
Yeah.
It was because of public outcry and outrage that the NRC now decided, because people then said, look, people are still in captivity. There are no security guarantees along that rail line, and you say you want to reopen the rail line. So it's not his own wisdom that is at work. It was the outrage and the outcry of the Nigerian people that led to that. Let's clear that. Now, the second thing is that A few weeks ago, the Nigerian Railway Corporation then came up again with this promise that the rail lines will resume operations in November. They didn't put a specific date to it, but people thought that will happen today, November 28th. But what the minister said yesterday when he visited the Abuja train stations, he said train services will resume along that route within the next 7 days, not later than 7 days. That's what he has said. And on that occasion, he tried to provide assurance that they are 90% ready. That was what he said. Are they 90% ready? How? He says, one, security measures that have been adopted will start at the ticketing point, whereby those who want to travel along the route will be required to provide phone numbers. And they will also be required to provide their national identification number. If they are foreigners, they will also be similarly required to provide means of proper identification so that their profile could be determined. I guess the reason this is being adopted is to know the identity of those who are going to travel on that route. If I was surprised they didn't ask for birth certificate or marriage certificate, if it happens that couples are traveling. But they say where minors are involved, their parents or their guardians can stand in for them, but that no adult is allowed to travel with more than 4 minors. Okay, if we go back to the March 28th event, the people who caused the mayhem, they didn't travel inside the train. They attacked the train while it was in motion. They had planted explosives on the track. So it's not enough to just say you establish the identity of the passengers. How do you secure the rail line? What kind of surveillance system has been put in place to make sure that from point A to destination, there will be no attack on those rail lines? That is something to note. Another thing that the minister said is that there will be now improved security, that there will be security people who will travel with the trains, and that these security persons are likely to be in mufti. Okay? If they are in mufti, okay, would they be able to make a difference? Considering the sloppiness of Nigerian security officials, whether it's the police or it is the civil defense. And what is the implication of this for the available manpower that we have? Now, number 3, we're also told that travelers on this route should prepare for increased fares. I think we need to know from what amount to what amount. All of that should be publicized. The average Nigerian traveler who will summon the courage to travel on that route must not be ambushed with a high cost of travel. Another thing that we're told, of course, is that there will be no night travel, where this was one of the demands of the affected families of the abducted persons, who said, look, there should be no night train. But, well, the minister ended it that it's only God that ensures security. But government must also play its part. And this is all about the Kaduna-Abuja, route. About other routes in the country. The trains, the coaches of the Nigerian Railway Services have had issues close to Ibadan, when some people had removed some of the rail tracks and the train had to stop somewhere in the forest. There have been other cases of attacks, although of a lesser degree, on the train. So whatever is being proposed, it's not just to assure us that the Abuja-Kaduna line is now safe and that security will be provided. There must be a comprehensive framework for ensuring the security of the rail lines and the security safety of passengers who travel on those rail lines. The completion of many of these rail lines haven't been touted as one of the major achievements of the Buhari administration. But as in aviation, the first law is safety. And it's the safety of the average passenger that is important. That is when the Nigerian Railway Corporation will have succeeded in restoring the confidence of that average Nigerian who wants to travel by rail. The minister says he and his officials, they will be the first to travel along that route. They should not just travel once, so they should travel along the routes regularly so that we will know, all of us will know that we are in this together.
Okay. First, I'd like to say my commiserations again, and God rest the souls of all those that died in all of this that happened as regards the Kaduna rail line. In these few months, I've been very close friends with Dr. Chinelo's father. That was the doctor that tweeted that she was dying. And some people, some supporters of a certain political party mocked her on Twitter. I just pray that they can live with their conscience. Because part of the things I also saw the burial ceremony of Dr. Chinelo. I was a bright Nigerian that wanted to look for greener pastures, but her life was cut short because she took Nigerian train. And for those that laughed at Dr. Chinelo, please, some information. Dr. Chinelo's father has not gotten over the grief. May the lives of Dr. Chinelo and others that died in this never be in vain. Secondly, I don't think we are ready to resume the rail services. We are not ready. And I'll refer you to something. When this happened, Minister then Amechi said the reason why this happened was there was a rail security equipment proposal of 3 billion naira that was rejected at FEC. And the FEC meeting was chaired by Professor Yemi Osinbajo on the 24th of September 2021. And it was about one company called Mogja Nigeria Limited. Incorporated on the 6th of August, they had back and forth. They didn't issue that rail surveillance equipment. I would like to ask the Minister of Transport, has that rail surveillance equipment worth 3 billion? Has it been installed on that rail line as we speak today? Secondly, ticket racketeering. So there's no even correlation and serialization properly done of the tickets bought. Till date, do we have an app for that rail service that you can pay and buy your ticket via app? Do we have an app that shows you the number of seats on the train and the time the train will leave and how you can buy your tickets? Is it not still going to be riddled with ticket touts and all sorts of ticket scam is going on? So if we cannot digitalize the ticketing system, then are we truly ready? The minister should come out and respond to these two areas I have raised. And he should beat his chest that there's an app now at which you can buy your ticket online and everything is serialized and they know the number of tickets sold and they are not ticketing touts anywhere. And if he can come out to also tell us that that 3 billion surveillance equipment on the rail line has been perfected and has been done, and they have robust security measures in place, I'll say, yes, you have done a good thing, and we can start. But I hope this never happens again. And I also hope that surveillance equipment that Mr. Amici talked about has also been done on the Lagos-Ibadan rail line and other rail services across the country. Those are just my 2 points. If the minister can answer those 2 questions, then I think we'll be rest assured. That's all on News Headlines.